It's time for you guys to stop vilifying exercise. Let me tell you why. Your body is the generator of your power. So if you don't want any power over yourself, power over your relationships, power over your finances, power over your self-care, your self-discipline, power over your growth, power over anything, you just got to have some power. If you don't want to have some power, you're choosing not to exercise. Because if you really think for one moment that you can walk through life with no muscle, no strength, no cardiovascular output, no VO2, nothing. You can just go through life on vacation. That's what you're striving for vacation instead of for capacity. Okay, I want you to go ahead and tell yourself just how long you think you would last if something happened and you had to deal with it. Just think about all the men and women that in this day and age can't walk up and down their own steps at their house. Your house catch on fire, your dog is upstairs, your young children are upstairs, the firemen are on their way, the policemen are on their way, but they just may not get there in time. And now you got to be a hero. Unfortunately, you ain't been practicing for that. So your fat ass can't get up and down the steps adequate enough time for you to go help somebody. What's going to happen to your kids, to your dog, to your pets, to your stuff, whatever it is? It all goes up in flames and they die. Is it your fault? I'd like to say, yeah, it's your fault, especially if you a man. I'm just saying, that's just how society works. And I'm not saying that you got to be some toxic masculine, which I don't believe is even a thing. I think it's actually wrong to tell men that they should not go to the gym, or women, because women should be incredibly strong and powerful too. They have children. They can relax themselves enough to have children in water, shoot them out like it's nothing. Calm, confident, hold it, carry for 9 months plus. You got to think about this. Just because society tells you something about how you should look or how you should feel does not mean that it's always right. Your body generates your power. And I am here to encourage you guys to bypass these 7 reasons, these 7 mistaken goals as to why you shouldn't have power. All right? Now, I'm going to tell you this. You don't actually rise to your goals in life. You don't do that. You can set goals to the moon and back, up to the clouds and back. You actually rise to the level of your physiology because your biology is based upon your perceptions and your beliefs. Now, I'm going to tell you this. If your body is weak, your decision making is heavy. I'm telling you this because I used to be weak, really weak. About 20 pounds less than what I am right now. It's close to 190 pounds. Body fat percentage, I didn't really have any body fat because I didn't have any muscle or any mass. And I was very, very sluggish. And my mind felt very, very foggy. You think about the lymphatic system, how the lymphatic system works. Lymph is controlled by gravity, essentially. It gets pulled down from the top lymphatically, which is the cleanser of your brain. So you can say CSF plus interstitial fluid flows down below the neck, goes into the lymphatic system, which is also interstitial fluid plus blood. And it's supposed to be pumped, okay, and returned back from the feet all the way down, goes all the way down, returned back up to the heart, and it keeps on getting filtered out. But how do you pump the lymph? How do you pump it? You pump the lymph based on contraction, muscle contraction. Now, if you don't ever contract your muscles, you don't ever get to cleanse your body. So, another thing is undisciplined. When I go to the gym with a plan to track my progress, with a plan to be able to tell me what I'm going to get up and go do, what weight I'm going to get up and go pick up, how I'm going to move my body today, when I have a plan, the disciplined plan from Monday to Sunday, which I work out actually 5 days in the gym, 6th day I go to do cardio, and I go have fun and play basketball with my guys. On the 7th day, which is usually on a Sunday, I relax myself and I lay my head down. I meditate for hours. And I do it daily too, but some days primarily for idea creation, essentially, you can say, and cleansing out my entire brain and body for the whole rest of the week, what I was doing. So whenever you're undisciplined, you're unattractive. And that's just people won't tell you that, but they know that. If you feel someone's coherence, you feel someone's self-discipline. And I believe that you can equate self-discipline to self-love. Self-discipline is the exact same thing as self-love. If you have no self-discipline, you have no self-love, because you have to show up for yourself Monday to Sunday. And if you do that, that means that you love yourself enough to do what you need to do, to pay the price, to get what you are asking yourself to get for yourself, to enjoy your high quality of life. That's what I'm saying. So when your mind is trained, when your mind and body are exercised, when your fitness is on point, what happens to your body? Well, your confidence starts to come back. Start to become a confident individual. It's like automatic. You just walk into a room. People can see, based upon your fitness level, based upon your commitment to yourself, who you really are as a person. And I'm going to talk about steroid users. I'm going to talk about people who go up in there and, plaster themselves full of supplementation and toxicity so that they can get the body that they think that they need to have to show off to everybody. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you being the best version of yourself you possibly can. You set the goal to do it. You said, I'm going to get bigger shoulders, bigger glutes, bigger legs, which I do believe you have to have a proportion of 2-to-1, bottom to top, because here's where all of your primary organs are housed in the viscera, which is in the torso. Your legs need to hold yourself up. Stronger legs equates to a stronger brain. That's also research proven. You can look it up. So your energy is also a consistent thing because you're creating it. Like I told you, you are the generator of your power. All right. And then your presence. What's your presence? When you walk into a room, people can tell, who are you? You're a magnetic individual. You're a magnetic being. You're not controlled by appearances. You're not controlled by sex. You're not controlled by addictions of any kind. You're not controlled by these things from the outside. You're doing it because you truly love to value yourself. It's different. Okay? Now, I'm going to explain it to you right now. Your fitness, your exercise is not optional. It's necessary. And I need you to begin to think of things as necessary, those things that you're supposed to be doing, that you have to be doing. Don't make an excuse not to do them. Make all the excuses to do them, okay? Because you got to think about this. Your body is the physical expression of your internal coherence and alignment. People have this problem where they think, I don't want to focus solely on how I look. I sure as hell want to focus on how I look, because if how I look is a reflection of how I am on the inside, I want this outer depiction, this outer art, this outer sculpture that I'm creating for myself to reflect how my physiology, my chemistry, my biology, my psychology, how all of these things internally are organized by my mind and my perceptions. People will see it up here and in here and in here and in here. Each chakra level has a brain. Every single level of those 7 energy centers has a brain. You have 9 levels, but 7 centers, because the root extends down from the knees and into the ankles. Now, what I'm saying is, if you can look at yourself as within, so without. You would not go to a car lot, purchase a used car that was broken down. It had 2 hubcaps on it. It had mud from, an off-roading event or something. The inside it had debris and trash inside of it. Nobody cleaned it. Maybe it smelled like smoke, or the last person that was inside of it. You wouldn't buy a vehicle like that. And if you did buy a vehicle like that, more power to you. That's what you want. I'm just telling you that when you go in to a used car lot or to, a dealership of any kind, they want to put their best foot forward. That's just something that is natural. So if you go out into the world not putting your best foot forward, again, that's a choice. I'm just saying, you're not doing it for anybody else. You're doing it for yourself. All right? So let's break this down right now. There are 7 reasons. 7 reasons. There always got 7. And you know why? Because you have 7 mistaken goals beginning from the root all the way up to the crown. Now, what are that? That is the chakras, the centers of energy, the wheels that house the organs in the viscera all the way up to your head and then above and beyond. Let's begin at the root. What is the root? Think of the root as the first and second goal of seeking attention from the external world. These are external goals that you are going out to the outer world. You're going to the outer world seeking their attention, their likes. You want their hearts. You want people to look at your pictures, at your photos. You want people to commend you and compliment you. You want people to say, you look great, you look wonderful. And that is because you want to look good so that people notice you. That's what you're saying. I want to look good so people notice me. Not because you want to feel good. Not because you want to walk around and feel confident about yourself. You're only doing it because of the outside world. Now, what's the emotion in this? Insecurity. You're insecure. You're not secure with yourself. You're doing things that you can get pumped up because you can't pump yourself up whenever you wake up in the morning. So what is the effect on your body? It's the adrenal glands. The adrenal glands are 2 caps on top of your kidneys that basically control your fight or flight response. And this is what controls you going from ANS, sympathetic resonance, which is fight or flight, to PNS, which is parasympathetic resonance. You have to go to parasympathetic resonance, which is rest and digest. All the blood leaves your viscera whenever you go into fight or flight. You need to get that blood to go back so that you can digest your food, so that you can increase your libido, so that you can just relax and repair your tissues, so that you can restore your body. When you're stuck in a cortisol-bathed body because of your insecurity, you're going to lack exercise. And why is that? Because you're chasing aesthetics. You're going to a fitness show, and then you're thinking, I got to go to appease the judges. This is what people start to do, this anabolic steroid type of thing. Start to get obsessed with how they look like an action figure. So they got to go get surgery so that they can go get Botox or things that they got to go to inject in themselves to make them seem a certain type of way so that they can get the appeal from the outer world. Now, you're working out for validation at this point. You're posting these pictures and these images for attention at this point. You're needing to be seen by other people. So there's a distortion at this level. At every level of distortion. But this level, this first distortion is going to be inconsistency. This is why the word inconsistency is right here. Inconsistent workouts. You might go Monday, not show up Tuesday. May show up for a little bit on Wednesday, not show up Thursday or Friday. May think to go on Saturday, but you got to go out. So you got to go out. Maybe on Sunday. Well, it's Sunday, so if you won't do any work on Sunday, let's go back to next Monday. You only got 2 days in. You didn't have no damn plan. You don't have any type of motivation because you're only training whenever you're motivated. Your plan and your system only lasts on the good days. It can't outlast the bad days. It can't outlast the days when it's raining outside. It can't outlast the days whenever you woke up on the wrong side of the bed, you didn't meditate your way out of it, tell you how you're supposed to feel. That's a problem. You have to have plans and systems built inside your life that are efficient, whether it's bright and sunny outside or it's cold and rainy outside. I've gone to extremes. I've lived in Wisconsin, Superior, Wisconsin, where it was minus 50 degrees Fahrenheit, just freezing cold. And I was coaching strength and conditioning, and I was coaching men's assistant for men's basketball at the time. And I got to work myself out too. So I was training myself and working about 12, 14 hours a day, and it was cold. I've never been that cold in my life. I just wanted to see what it felt like. Beautiful place, right next to Lake Superior. Most pristine water I've ever got into and drank. And it was it was cold. I would say that. I've been in Arizona, 118, 120 degrees Fahrenheit. I've been to extremes on both sides. It didn't matter whatever the extremes were. Get your ass to the gym. Follow your plan. You got to forget your mood sometimes and go for the plan. Now, you can't focus, because here's also distortion, is focusing on appearance over performance. I don't focus on how I look. I focus on how I move. Focusing on how I move increases how I look. I need to perform the way I want to perform. I need to be able to run, to jump, to walk I need to be able to move my body with no pain. And it shows, it reflects in how my body looks. The shift here is you training for stability and strength, not training for aesthetics, okay? And as a result of this shift, your body feels powerful. Like I told you, focus on how you're moving. It's not just looking good. The next reason, we're at the sacral. Keep moving, we're at the power struggle. This is the power struggle. This is when you tell yourself, I'll do it. I'll exercise when I feel like it. Now you start talking crazy to yourself. I'm going to do it when I feel like it. Okay, all right. That's the emotional what? Resistance. So, again, how you do anything is how you do everything. So at these 7 levels, I guarantee these show up in some other category of your life as well. The emotional resistance then goes to the body, which is the gonads, reproductive organs, ovaries for women, testes for men. Think about this as you're battling yourself now. Now you're starting, you're stopping, you're restarting. Here is where you are skipping your workouts in the distortion. You have no routine to follow, and you are fighting structure. You can't stand structure. You can't stand leg days, shoulder days, back days, core days. You can't stand any of that. Structure, you're like, nah, hey, I'm good. Like, this machine looks good today. Maybe I'll go hiking today so I can work out my leg. I'm not saying you can't go do that. I'm saying get the primary in and then go do the accessory work as well. Make that your fun thing. But the primary work has to get done. Now, you got to find a rhythm. You can't just go through spontaneity. Spontaneity won't get you anything. If you just keep going and showing up, maybe Monday, not Tuesday. I think Wednesday I might go a little bit. Thursday I feel like doing some cardio. See, it starts to process off. You're already inconsistent here. So keep carrying up the ladder. You have to shift into a rhythm. Go at the same time. Same gym time. I come here to teach. I usually come at about 12:30, 12 o'clock, get done 2:30, about 3 o'clock, and I ride my bike. I ride my bike here from my house, ride my bike to the gym. Right after that, after I ride my bike to the gym, take myself home. I go meet my pit bull, Onyx. Me and Onyx go take a walk. Well, he has to eat first. After he eats, we go take a walk. We go take a walk. I come back. If I have to research, whatever I do, I have a schedule, prioritizing my values each and every day. Same time, same structure. Do not keep changing your fucking training plan. Do not keep changing the plan. Stick with the plan. And you have consistent execution on that plan. Move the same. Do things the same. You have progressive overload. So you may add 5 pounds a week or 2.5 pounds a week. But you're adding something. You're moving better each and every time. As a result, discipline replaces your resistance. Discipline is where you want to get to again. Self-love. Let's go to reason number 3. Solar plexus. Revenge. Here's where you start to tell yourself, and this is the crazy shit, this is where you start to get fucked up. I'll push myself to the limit. I got the Mamba mentality. I'm going to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning and work out from 2 to 4. Then I'm going to go take a nap and work out from 6 to 8 or some shit. And then go take a nap and work out from 10 to 12. And then I'm going to sleep the rest of the day. Or you don't have to do all that. I'm just telling you, you don't have to do all that. You don't. He didn't have to do all that. And I love Kobe Bryant. He didn't have to do all that shit. You have the emotion of anger and overdrive. This emotion of anger and overdrive, what does it do? This is your body, your pancreas, your liver, your digestive organs, your metabolic fire. This is where you are starting to go too hard. You're burning yourself out. You're training from pain instead of from purpose. You forgot the purpose. The purpose was to make you perform better. The purpose was to make you feel more powerful and more confident. Now you're just doing it because somebody said you were fat. I'm going to show you how strong I am. You want to flex on everybody. You don't need to do all that. All you got to do is look at yourself and your purpose. Why are you doing this, first of all? Like I told you, longevity isn't hard. People want to hack their way to everything. They want to skip over the steps of everything. They want to plant trees and they want all of a sudden sprinkle some magic formula and they want fruit the next day. That's not how it works, y'all. Especially not in the gym. Now, you can't go max out every set without a recovery plan. Sometimes you got to go to sleep. Sometimes you build yourself up. In my training plan, I have 12-week intervals, and I build myself up. Certain 4-week intervals, I'm going really, really high. Then I take myself down, recover a little bit. Same exercise, same movement, but the weights are different. I make sure that my body feels good, and I come back to it. The distortion at this level of anger, you get hurt. It's injuries. It's burnout. Inconsistent energy. You're going to be tired one day, not tired the next day. You should be able to track this. Maybe you have fluctuations like this, but you shouldn't be dropping, coming, spiking, dropping. You start taking these caffeine protein shakes. I'm telling you from experience. I used to take caffeine protein shakes. I used to take these C4s and things. I didn't take a lot of it. I just tried it. But this stuff raises your heart rate. Energy drinks are shit. The trash energy, because they're not real. They basically burn out, again, the adenosine by blocking it. So that's what caffeine does. If you want to take coffee to the gym, you want to get up and you're blocking your adenosine receptors, you don't know how tired you are. There's no way for you to actually recover because you don't know how to recover. Your body isn't told to recover. So the shift right now is you're going to train with intelligence and intention, not with your super ego, something from the outside. Your infinite ego, we're going to use the triad that Freud created. He created one called the ego, which is your higher mind. He also created the I, which is going to be your instant gratification, where you're not living in alignment, so you do things for instant gratification. And then your super ego, which basically comes from the outside world, society, your parents, your siblings, your friends, and people on the outside tell you what to do. So you're training from your super ego. Someone on the outside is telling you this is how you should look, this is how you should go, this is how hard you should do things. If you don't focus and lock in, it's not that hard. I'm telling you, it's not that hard. So you must train with intelligence. Then you, as a result, get sustainable strength and growth. Sustainable. You can't do things that aren't sustainable or you'll falter. The fourth reason is going to be at your heart. Here's where you're displaying inadequacy. The emotion is going to be self-doubt. It's going to affect the body, at the heart, and the lungs. This is when you say, I'm not in shape. I'm overweight. I'm never going to lose this weight. So why should I try? I shouldn't go to the gym. It doesn't matter. I'm a lost cause. I'm hopeless. You start doing all that victim mindset shit. Some people can handle it. I choose not to handle it because it's garbage and it's lies. So if people can't be honest with themselves, I don't even care to hear that. I used to be a person that didn't really train myself for workout. What happened was I moved to Atlanta, Georgia with my mom. I was 17 years old. And I went to go try out for a basketball team. Never made a basketball team before in my life. So I set a goal to make the basketball team. Junior year, I was awful. This is the first time I've seen a 7-footer in my life when I got to Georgia. And they were killing it. Louisiana, where I'm from, they don't really play basketball like that. They didn't play basketball like that back then. They do it now, but not back then. It wasn't like that back then. So these guys were amazing. And, I just wasn't good enough. And I remember there was a morning in November, Saturday morning in November. I'm unfamiliar with what holiday it was, but my mom went out to go check the mail. Someone came into our garage. Essentially, she left her door open. Someone came in, took her purse from her van, ran behind. He must have ran behind the houses because in Georgia where we were, there's no fences in the backyards in most of the houses. He just ran. He just took off. And my mom, I guess, she chased him for a little bit, but my mom's tiny, like 5 feet. They wound up catching him, I think, like hours later or something, and found all her stuff. But I realized, oh man, like you get afraid when you get violated. And my mom, she bought me a weight set. She bought me a weight set so I can get stronger because I'm like, I'm weak. Like I can't do anything. I can't protect my household. My father and my mom were separated at the time before they got divorced, so it was just me. I'm a man in the house and I can't take care of the fucking house. I'm weak. And it was frightening because, you don't know what you can do. And so I had to make it a point to be like, no, I can't just be doing this I'm not in shape and I'm never going to be strong, so why should I try? No, on the contrary, I changed my mindset to I need to try and I have to pay the price so I can feel protected. So at first I was quitting before I started. And that's what most people do at this level. They quit before they start. And so what they do is they avoid the gym, they feel behind, and they don't believe that they can change their bodies or change themselves. They talk themselves out of it. You see, and that story proved to me, because I did get stronger. I did make my basketball team in the following year. I didn't say be a star, which I should have. Eventually, I got to that point where I knew how to speak. But what I'm saying is, at first, it was inadequacy. And afterwards, it became a necessity because I did not want to feel violated anymore. Anyone can do this. The distortion at this level is sedentary lifestyle. Sedentary lifestyle. Sitting your ass up on the couch. You can read a book. You can, watch TV if you want to. But men, you should be walking around with your gut hanging over with your gut hanging over your waistline, over your belt. It's not cool. We don't do beer bellies in here. How about some water bellies where you have some abs, some actual abs that are inside that appear on the outside? How about that? How about you able to take care of yourself and your family? How about that? Because I knew no one would come to rescue me. I was sleeping in the house. Somebody would have came in the house and popped me or popped, my mom or, no, man. Think about that type of stuff. Be an overseer, provide provision, for real. So you give low effort in the gym. You tell yourself that this is your max when you can go 2 times 2. You don't ever push yourself. And you have avoidance. This is where you just avoid it altogether. The shift here, where you start, you just start. You just start where you are without any judgment. Just start. I had to rebuild my body up multiple times when I got hurt because I was doing this, training from anger. As a result, momentum again builds your confidence up and you keep a natural momentum. You're going into reason number 5, proven superiority. What is at this area? This is pride. This is the emotion of pride. When you tell yourself, I know what I'm doing. I go to the gym all the time. I got some young kings in there. They got big bomb. These trainers are phenomenal. All have unique skill sets. I was talking to one of them just the other day. He told me, some of these guys that come in here, man, and men especially, get rid of that ego shit. Just because you did it in high school doesn't mean you can do it today. And you probably didn't do it right back then. They keep saying, I know what I'm doing. He told me, he said, there's guys that come in here and they got money. It's not about, paying for a training package or anything. They just have this ego, super ego about themselves where they have this pride that says, I'm good, I'm fine. Their form sucks. They don't learn anything new. It's all because of the emotion of pride. It affects your body at the thyroid. Start lying. Thyroid, parathyroid. This is like a chemical imbalance. Stop learning. You say, I'm trained my way. I'm going to do it my way. Even if your way is not working. You're just going to keep saying, I'm doing it my way. Now, what's the distortion? Poor form. Distortion is poor form. You ignore your coaching and you have super ego lifting. Not ego lifting, super ego lifting. You know why? Because you're doing it seeking attention to the external world. The shift here, simply shut the fuck up and execute what your coach is telling you to do. You execute fundamentals properly. You have to have fundamentals in everything. A base establishment. You got to shut up. You got to be quiet. You got to go in the corner and do this. Put your hands behind your back and just say, yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Because at this moment in time, you're the student and they're the teacher. And you have to be coachable in order to be a good student. Now, the result is efficiency replaces that superego. That's all you want to be, is efficient in your lifetime. You can't ask for anything more than that. The next reason, at third eye, we're getting up to the top. This is the mistaken goal of competition versus community. And here's where you say, they're ahead of me. Because you're looking left, you're looking right, you're looking at this lady she has a bomb physique. This gentleman, he has, man, check out his massive shoulders. Look at her quads. Look at her glute muscles. Look at his calf muscles. What you looking all over the fucking place for? How long they've been doing that? Probably longer than you've been alive, or maybe longer than you've even been in the gym. Maybe for 10 years. You've probably been in the gym for 1 month. and you angry and you mad that you ain't got the body that they got. They've been having consistency for this long. You haven't had it. So again, start where you are. Because here's the emotion of comparison. At the body, it's affecting the pineal gland. And what you're doing is you're comparing your bodies, you're comparing strength, you're comparing progress. Don't try to work in with somebody who's head and shoulders above you. You're going to be changing plates out. You ain't got to do that. Let them do what they do. And start where you are. And work your way up to where they are. You're going to get there, but just work your way up. After that, because once you start feeling behind, you start to lose your motivation again. All because you're looking on the outside. Again, this is where you have values. You're thinking about somebody else's value. You think about somebody else's life task, attempting to place it onto you, which is impossible. Distortion here is program hopping. Maybe it's this one. Maybe if I do RDL one day with my glutes, plus a glute bridge and a hip thrust and a Bulgarian split squat, if I do sets of 4 or 5 at the heaviest, I'll grow. And then the following week, if I want to do my quad muscles, I can do like a sissy squat with a goblet squat and increase it with the plate. And I can do like a long sprint squat, like the ATG style, like the knees over toes guy. Or I can even do a extension machine on leg extension. Or I can go to a leg press machine instead. You start to just keep on plugging and playing. You just like, oh, well, maybe this one is good for this week. Maybe this one is good. No. Just pick one and stick with it. Just pick one and stick with it for as long as you possibly can. I'm on the same training plan right now for 6 months. About 6 months I've been on the same training plan and I feel phenomenal. And you know what I'm going to do? After this 12 weeks is done, I'm going to start a new one and go 6 more months. And the new one. That's how I do it. I like 6 months. Gives me some time to learn a new movement and learn a new skill and change my body. But that's where you also continue with that lack of consistency that you've already accumulated from the root, the sacral, the plexus, so on and so forth. And then what also happens is you get discouraged because this person looks so phenomenal and they look so wonderful and they're so handsome and they're so sexy and she's so beautiful. Okay, you can be the same thing. Just relax. And history starts to go make these bad choices. Anabolic steroids, let me go get surgery. You don't need it. You don't need it. All it does is fast forward your process of not being here. It's a complete opposite of longevity. The shift is you're focusing on your progression. Progressive overload. Just relax. And just focus on progressive overload. If you have 56 weeks or 52 weeks in a year, and you increase 1 pound every week, man, you're going to be so strong, you ain't even got to worry about that. You increase it 50 pounds over a course of a year, I think you're going to be really, really good. Building a really, really strong base and some really, really good movement inside of it. The last reason at 7 is going to be the crown. At the crown chakra, this goal is no courage to be disliked. You have no courage to be disliked. And what does that mean? I don't want to stand out, which is a problem. I believe conformity is the killer of most men and women in this day and age. And if you continue to conform, you will never get to see who you really are as a person. Here's the emotion of fear of judgment. And at the body, it affects the pituitary gland. Pituitary gland houses the HPAA axis, hypothalamus, pituitary adrenal axis, which controls how you feel, controls how you pray. Think about these two things right here. Right here, pineal, which is at the third eye, and you have pituitary, which is at the crown. In some cultures, they are interchangeable. Melanated people, brown-skinned people, the pineal is usually called the crown because of melanin. What I'm explaining is that you send a signal out with electricity. The thought sends a signal out. Your feeling is the magnet that draws the experience back to you. So electric, pineal gland, sends the thoughts out, any ideas. The feeling, which is going to be the prayers, sending out to the universe, is the magnet that draws the experience back into you. Here's where you're playing too small as a person. You're not going all in. You're not committed to your new self. You're not pushing yourself to your edge. You're also holding back in different environments because you don't want to stand out. I'm not saying go in there and do ego bullshit because you want somebody to clap for you, but just perform to the level that you know you can perform that's going to help you grow. The distortion is low intensity. You're not trying hard enough for anything to happen for you to change. So you're doing comfort zone training. That's what this is called, comfort zone. You're so comfortable. You refuse to be uncomfortable, but uncomfortable is where you have this level of growth. I think it's called the anterior midcingular cortex. This portion of your brain where you do things that you don't want to do, that helps you to grow a capacity for yourself as a human being, and it helps you to literally increase your longevity. You do things you don't want to do for a reason, so that you can eventually be proficient at them. You should suck at anything that you try. You're going to suck. You're not going to be proficient in things that you try that's brand new. You're just not. What happens again from that is you start to blend in. That's the goal that you have, to blend in, because you can't stand out. What if they dislike you? Oh gosh, this person is, man, you moving crazy. Man, I don't care about that. I turned 43 years old on Sunday, which I'm actually really excited for, April 26th. So I'll probably post this video maybe on Monday. I'll post it the day after. And I'm just excited that my body looks the way it looks right now because I've been 9+ years plant-based. I've been eating, grapes every single day for like the last year. Every morning for breakfast, I hydrate by eating my fruit and also drinking water. I live a certain lifestyle that I believe is the luxury lifestyle that gives me a different level of proficiency and efficiency and a high quality of life. And I think people will shift their perspective to stop cheating themselves eventually and realize, settle in and become who you're supposed to be. And I think that's what I've gone in to go do because I have the courage to be disliked and like myself. Now, the shift here is you fully express your effort. Because if you're not going to give all your effort, take your ass home and think about it first before you go up in there. Imagine yourself doing these things for yourself first before you go in there and waste your time. This is when you become undeniable. This is when you become authentic. This is when you become a self-actualizing person. Now, again, what does fitness actually do beyond your body? I put these 4 things down. At your brain chemistry, okay? It's not because it's not just physical. This directly upgrades your brain chemistry. You have more focus, less anxiety whenever you exercise. How about your hormones? This is where you have more drive, you have more confidence, you have more clarity. Talk about oxytocin, vasopressin, epinephrine. I talk about simplistic, these 3 things, dopamine as well. Dopamine, oxytocin, and vasopressin, the main 3. These main 3 things, the hormonal triad, you're going to get a release. These positive chemicals, not cortisol. And I'm not saying cortisol is all bad. It's good in some cases, but moderation. But these parts of the triad are going to give you more drive, confidence, and clarity. The nervous system, what happens to it? You get more resilience to stress. You're building up your capacity. Energy output. This is your higher baseline of your vibration. You just become a happier person each time that you go in and do this process. You just become happier. You wake up on the right side of the bed more times during the week than the wrong side of the bed. Now, the problem is that you have to have a real world shift. Because when you're out of alignment, what happens to you? You wait for motivation from the outside world. That means it's not an intrinsic value yet. You didn't label intrinsic value, which is internal value, so that you value the highest on your list, on your spectrum of priorities each and every day. It's extrinsic. Somebody from the outside told you to go work out, and that's why you're angry. You start and you stop. Again, it's fighting structure. You're comparing constantly. You're training it consistently. But when you're in alignment, what happens when you're in alignment? When you're coherent. When you have your orgasmic power that is basically circulating through your body, which is a state of coherence, as I said, breath, fascia, tissue, hormones. It's everything. State of coherence. What happens when you're in a state of coherence? When your orgasmic power is high? You train regardless of your mood. You say, fuck your mood. I'm following the plan. I believe it's Layla Hermosa. She talks about fuck your mood, follow the plan. It's a little rigid in that way, but as long as you can get it done, you get it done. You follow structure. You focus on progression, and you build discipline daily. That is the goal, to build self-love, which is in the form of self-discipline, daily. And now, your body is either, let's talk about again, the generator of your power. You either have a weak battery, which is leaking energy. That body is weak, no fitness, no structure, or a charged generator producing power. All right? You have to take a vote within yourself. You're going to get up and do it regardless of how you feel. You're going to get up and do it because it serves you more than not doing it serves you. So what I'm basically saying is you're not building confidence in your mind first. You're building confidence in your habits. And you're building it through evidence when you look in the mirror every morning and you're like, man, I feel so fucking good. I look phenomenal. When you can push past your resistance, when you can complete the workout and chart it off that day, check it off, things to do list. I took care of business, and show up consistently. You will see yourself differently. You will love yourself differently because you're proving to yourself saying, I do what I'm I'm going to do. How you do anything is how you do everything. If you can start the process off with just that, when you say something, you will always pay the price to get whatever you are asking yourself for. And that belief will carry into, again, your business. It carries into your money, carries into your relationships because you'll be more attractive just because you do what you say you're going to fucking do. It carries into your leadership. It's a different level of how you really are. It's a different level. It's a really, really different level. And so I just want you to think about how once you become acclimated to the person that you really are, and you ask yourself, what is it that you really value in your life? And not only what is it that you really value, but how is it that your values are determined, how you've been the person that's been doing it? What's changing about your value determination? Because if you don't look at, you do everything based upon your values. So if you're in a relationship with a person who doesn't value fitness, but you do, it's high priority for you and it's low priority for them, you may have a problem. You should have asked that question right off the bat. Sometimes things can change, but for the most part, people who prioritize exercise and fitness, they always have done it. They've done it, or they made a switch in their mind and they never stopped doing it. And I had a talk with my ex-wife. It was some time ago, and I basically told her, I said, hey, I'm never going to be in a relationship. I love someone who does not love themselves more than I love them, because it's too hard, which essentially was me saying, I'm never going to do this with you again. Not that she, obviously did not figure out what self-love was. I'm sure she's probably figured it out by now. At the time, I said, it's leaning too heavy on someone. And that's where you get vampires from, energy vampires. And I said, you're better than that. So, if you're going into a relationship with somebody who does not value themselves or their body or their temple, and they don't have a purpose to live, or they don't have a purpose to do something or serve, or because they've been out of alignment so much, they've been fighting their actual selves for so long. Release yourself from that need to feel like you are the person that's controlling that, because you're not. That is up to the creator. It's up to their mind and their heart. And fitness is a really, fitness and finances, I would say, are two of the most powerful things that stop individuals from having harmonious relationships. And that's because they haven't taken ownership of it. And you can't take ownership of somebody else's fitness. And I believe it's a rule that you need to remain attractive for yourself and for your partnership. Because when you come together as a vesica, which is basically you saying that, and how I'm gonna put this is, a vesica is this. So you have basically 2 circles, which is, you can say male, a second circle, which you can say female, and here's the point where you join and you become a brand new entity. You share that entity. So you have half of your energy embedded in this person. They have half of their energy embedded in you. That's also what's called emotional synchronization, emotional synchrony. So when you're synchronizing your emotions, all these emotions I just told you about, all 7 of these, whether it's insecurity, resistance, anger, comparison, pride, self-doubt, fear, judgment, they're coming in from the outside, from the person that you are entangled with sexually. Well, we'll get into sexual energy, the 7 reasons why your sexual energy, your sexual intercourse, your intimacy is off with your partnership. And it's because it's off with yourself. So now what you understand is that, again, you have to base it upon your goals. Establish this. I've been following Dr. John DeMartini's method. It's a phenomenal method where you can basically dissolve your old perceptions. And what he says is people have these 2 things, and mainly it's infatuation and resentment. You're basically creating these things because you're infatuated with somebody on the outside. You're infatuated with looking a certain type of way. You're infatuated with something, and it's creating this distortion inside of you. And then by you not getting that thing, or by you not having that thing, you become the complete polar opposite, depressed and sad and anxious and all these other things. And now you become, on the opposite end, resentful. So now, and what's resentful? The complete opposite. You're resenting somebody that maybe or some person or something or that you can't stand, which you're going to draw into your life regardless, because you can't fear something and not receive it. But you're drawing that into your experience of life. All of a sudden, you're resenting these things, drawing into that experience of life. And that's what's going to happen. And that's what's going to occur. So, yeah. So, and that's what's going to occur. So, ultimately, from that perspective on forward, you need to understand that getting rid of these things, locking in a self-discipline, is going to create a brand new landscape, a brand new life for you. If you're looking for a shift, a mindset shift, a physiological shift, biological shift, I'm hosting my 5-day Become Orgasmic Power Challenge at the end of May 24th, I believe is the starting day. Click the link in my description below. You'll be able to see it. Other than that, like, share, and subscribe to this video if it helped you guys. And until next time, peace.